Thank you very much. And dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thanks for your interest in this webinar. I just try to share my screen. I hope you can see it. Can I get a short feedback?
Yes, it works.
Is it all right? Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, a comparison of the Danish and the German energy system. Most of the people think of electricity when talking of energy, but of course it's much more. As we all know, it's especially on the heat system that is relevant when comparing Denmark and Germany. But not only these technical things, a comparison of energy system has a lot to do, of course, with cultural backgrounds. And the two book titles here on the screen, written by the same person. One is about the business culture in Denmark, and one is about the business culture in Germany on the right side. And without further explanations, I think you can guess what kind of differences are meant. And this has also, as I will show you, has also implications on the energy systems. Yeah, one guiding question is, are we, with our German Energiewende, with the German transformation of the energy systems, are we really as good as we often tend to believe? And instead of giving a long answer, I just took some examples. Maybe you all know this electricity maps app, where you can each hour, at each time, at any time, you can see how green the sources of electricity at that moment are. I think it doesn't need much explanation. Of course, brown and black, this is with many CO2 emissions, and the greener the color, the better it is. So just have a look at Denmark and Germany, and you can see, first you can see a huge difference at almost any time. And looking at Germany especially, you will find that we are not the leading green electricity producers in Europe, despite all our efforts and despite all the money that we have pumped in the decarbonization and the transformation of the electricity market. And having a bit a closer look, the share of renewables, I'm referring to the left picture, the share of renewables in Germany, electricity production is, as you can easily see, it's only half of the one in Denmark today. So in Denmark has already exceeded the 80% mark, and in Germany we are at about 45 or a little bit more than 45. And although both countries started in 1990, there's a huge difference. And one reason for that, of course, is the fuel switch that was done in Denmark. As we, in Germany, still a lot of coal-fired power plants are running. In Denmark, most of the gas and coal-fired power plants were shut down or converted to other energy sources. And coal is, as you can see, almost phased out in Denmark today. So Denmark is a leading country in renewable energy production and uses. This is the first sentence you find in Wikipedia when you just look for Danish energy. But as I said in the beginning, when talking about transformation of energy systems, when talking about decarbonization, it's a big mistake just to look at electricity, because in the heat market or in the heat sector, the heat sector makes up for minimum 50% of the total energy consumption. That is true for both countries, for Germany and for Denmark. And so electricity is not everything. And just be impressed by the huge difference. You see this chart is about Germany with the figures for electricity, for heat, and for transport sectors. And in Denmark, the figures are much better, as easily can be seen, over 80% in electricity and almost 70% in the heat market. This is especially remarkable because the heat market is so dominating when it comes to decarbonization questions. And why? And the big question, of course, is how did the Danish accomplish to make such a great progress in the heating system? And one or a key answer to the question is that from the beginning, Denmark has thought in one coherent energy system. So that means electricity has never been looked at alone, and the heat sector hasn't also been looked at alone. And this means that a coherent system has been built up, started very early, even in the 70s, with holistic planning. So not just electricity planning and heat planning, with integration and synergies across the sectors. And for example, one fascinating result of this, that in Denmark, there is no wind redispatch. So a phenomenon that we pretty well know in Germany, that wind energy plants have to be shut down, not shut down, but they have to be stopped when there's too much electricity in the market. This is not the case in Denmark. So, and the key elements of this, it's quite simple. It's sector overarching planning. Long before the buzzword sector coupling has been discovered in our country, in Germany. And please don't try to look at the details of this drawing here. It's just to symbolize, to explain that the systems are interconnected. And the key elements are the district heating, it's the heating grid, which is mainly responsible for connecting the different sectors, including cooling demand. So as in Denmark, they have started very early to think cooling as well, not only heat and electricity in one system. So everything is interconnected, and both the district heating grid and the CHP plants, combined heat and power plants, they are the decisive elements in this system. And it is said that by 2030, or maybe a few years later, Denmark will have de facto zero carbon dioxide emissions in the heat and electricity sector. On this slide, there are some numbers, some figures that illustrate the huge differences. I don't want to go through them all at this moment. You can easily read it after the presentation, for example. But the key figures you can see here, Denmark relies to 63% of district heating in the total heating supply. You can see the importance of this element here very well. In Germany, it is about 15%. It has been 15% for years and decades, and almost never changed. And in the district heating, the Danes, they have 76% of renewable sources already, which is in Germany is also almost negligible. with 15%. And also a high percent of renewables in total heat supply. So not only the district heating areas contribute to the high level of decarbonization, also the remaining individual supplies of households and industry. And here we find the second decisive element, that is the CHP, the combined heat and power. What does that mean? To a large extent, the Danes didn't shut down their coal-fired power plants and their gas-fired power plants. They converted them to other fuels. That's on the one hand, and they converted them to combined heat and power plants. That means co-generation of heat and power in the same plant, which means that there is not only an usable energy factor of 40 or 45%, but up to 90%. And to avoid from the very beginning, to avoid any misunderstandings, it has nothing to do with countryside or large cities. In Copenhagen, the percentage of households connected to district heating is almost 89%. And in the whole country, it's 66%, and will be 80% in 2030. So this is the key message of this slide. It simply shows that district heating and combined heat and power are the key elements. And having a look at the fuel sources, that is the left picture here first. The green bars, of course, this is renewable energy. You see here at the top, red, that electricity is more and more coming. The future of Danish district heating will rely more and more on large heat pumps, for example. A large portion of renewable energy from biomass, by straw, wood chips, whatever you can imagine, pellets, green waste from cutting trees and so on in the municipalities. And of course, the biogene share of waste. So there are not these big hesitations or discriminations of biomass and waste incineration as we find them in our country. And you can see here, coal in district heating is almost abandoned, and there is a remainder of natural gas, and this will disappear in the future, as I said, until 2030 or 35. And here, oops, that was too early. And on the right side, you can see that there is more than 70% of the power and heat generation in this combined heat and power plants. Yeah, this is all about technology. This is all about fuel sources. But I think my impression is that it is by far not about technology and fuels. There are other elements. There are non-technical decisive factors that enabled the Danes to get where they are in decarbonization of their district heating system. They started very early, that you can see here, even in the 70s, after the oil price crisis. They do an absolutely clear planning. It's called zoning. So the whole country and all cities are examined and are divided in different zones where district heating is the preferable source, supply, I mean not source, and zones where individual supply is to be preferred. It's clearly based on economical and ecological principles, and these principles apply to the whole country, from north to south, from east to west, in the same way. So there is absolutely no cannibalism of different heat supplies. If a region is determined as suitable for district heating, the other sources are closed down, have to be closed down. There are no parallel gas, natural gas and district heating lines in the streets, for example. Very consequent. Next element, decisive element, is about the ownership of district heating companies. They are either in municipal hands or they are in the hand of end users via cooperative principle. What does that mean? There is no prejudice, there is no resentments against district heating because users have the full control, because they are members of the cooperatives and it's their own business, if you want it like this. And the district heating price, it is stable, it's transparent and competitive, as I said, because of the non-profit principle. So all the surplus flows back to the consumers. The district heating companies get cheap guaranteed loans for their project. The consumers, they get a solid business case. They exactly know in advance what it will cost. So they are not left alone with many, many questions they cannot solve, they cannot give answers to. What is the best solution for me? What shall I do? Shall I wait? Shall I, whatever, all these questions and the problems that we currently experience in Germany. And another decisive element, there is competition between the heat production companies, a fact that is widely unknown. So last but not least, district heating is the core of this coherent energy system that I described to you before. So the people are convinced, they like it, they are in favor, they want it, and therefore discussion as we have it in Germany, should there be compulsory connection and usage for district heating or in other topics as well. That is not a hot topic in Denmark for these reasons. Yeah, maybe I skip this a little. So of course there is no stillstand. There are future trends towards more heat pumps, towards more integrated district cooling, even more heat storage and so on and so forth. And as you may have expected, the Danish are also front runners in digitalization. Without digitalizations, the systems would be as efficient as they are. Digitalization allows to manage all this complexity, all these decentralized plants and all these decentralized consumers, the whole system in, as well in electricity as in heat. Digitalization helps to optimize the merit order of heat sources to economical and ecological, orientated at these factors. And last but not least, there's much better services that can be offered to the consumers as without it. I think it's a common knowledge that Denmark is much ahead in digitalization in many fields. But what we should learn in Germany and other countries, perhaps as well, digitalization can help a lot. It will not be able to compensate deficits in legislation, regulation, or strategy and implementation. That has to be solved first, or at least in parallel. But Thomas, you wanted to add something. So here my knowledge about digitalization ends. I'm not the ultimate expert, but Thomas has promised to explain a bit more.
Yes, exactly. I got many thanks. So what I learned so far from the Danes compared to the German electricity market is that almost no household client has no smart meter. It's a completely different world now what we are talking about, because here in Germany since 2012 we are talking about smart meter rollout, and smart meter rollout is reality in Denmark, and this is the basis for digitizing the entire energy market. Yeah. And this is from my point of view, this makes a very big difference.
Yeah, Thank you. So to be very clear and honest, not few people think that German energy policy has to change. Probably it's not too late yet, but in some respects, we probably have started with this change, but too long. Number one, the focus has only been laid on electricity and not on the other sectors. Systems integration is still very difficult for any player who wants to make progress in this respect. And on one conference, I don't remember where and who said it, but that was a wonderful sentence describing the situation. In Germany, there is a power land, a heat land, a gas land, and when crossing the borders, you have to pay taxes and levies. I think everyone active in the market has already experienced this problem, especially industries or organizations that want to store heat or want to produce hydrogen or whatever. Whenever a border is crossed between different sources of energy, it is expensive and it's complicated in this country. Yeah, more a mentality question. Many people think individual is beautiful, even if it is costs a lot of money, and central grid bound is ugly, which of course has to do with monopolies as well. So I can, to a certain extent, I can understand this central grid bound reservations that we often find in this country. Yeah, no competition, no transparency, and high prices in district heating. I think district heating can never play the role, the decisive role it does, as it does in Denmark, if we will not go in direction of a fundamental change of our system. Yeah, as Germans perfectly are aware, our Stadtwerke, the municipal utilities, they are often the suppliers of energy products like electricity or heat, and they are forced to make profit by the communes, by the municipalities, and absorb it for other purposes, for maintaining and operating swimming halls, or for cross-subsidizing public transport or whatever. This is, of course, also a fact that doesn't make it easy to make progress in the energy sector. Consumers are often left alone with fuel and technology bans. I think this has been absolutely demonstrated by the recent new, as it is called, Heizungsgesetz, heat law, or Gebäudeenergiegesetz, buildings energy law. Try to translate, it's a bit difficult. So they ask themselves all these different questions, and no one has answers, but the law is there. And as I already mentioned, sleeping away digitalization. And I have experienced it on many conferences, many discussions after presentations. There is also, regrettably, a widespread reluctance to learn from others. That's, I know it's a harsh word, but I have had the experience many, many times. So coming almost to the end, I haven't talked a lot about technology, but there are front runner technologies in Denmark. And I'm happy to see that now the first plants of this kind are already planned and realized and built in Germany. This, what you see on the picture, this is a solar heat generation plant. And in the background, this strange thing that is a pit storage. So that's a large storage, not in a tank as we know it, but in a big hole. And these large solar thermal plants with seasonal pit storage, you find it in many locations in the meantime in Denmark. And these are wonderful. This is a wonderful invention because these plants in combination with the storage, they are even capable to bring the heat, the solar heat from the summer into the winter, and enables cities like, for example, Voyens, this is the example here, to have 50% only solar coverage in their heat supply. Of course, this all is embedded into typical, let's say, Danish interconnected, holistically thought energy supply systems. You can see here on this chart that the heat storage is a decisive central element, but you can see heat pumps, you see industrial surplus heat, you see, of course, PV, you see biomass plants, waste to energy plants, you see wastewater and bodies of water as heat sources, and you see different storage facilities like ice storage, groundwater storage, and these seasonal pit storages, as I just showed you in the Voyens example. And all these together, this is a typical Danish supply system, which in the end allows for this high degree of decarbonization, as I have described it before. So coming to the conclusion, what are the key learnings? Very condensed, of course, but I hope I caught the most important of them. Start early in all relevant sectors. Do the planning in a holistic way. Do planning from national, or in Germany, it would probably be Bundesland, down to the municipal level. So we have detailed planning, we have detailed laws in how we have to construct our buildings, even the color of the facade. This is all regulated in Germany, but why not the optimum heat system? But this will now come with the, this is a learning from Denmark that really has been transferred to our country, that we have the municipal, we have now the obligatory municipal heat planning, but 30 years later than in Denmark, unfortunately. So act long term is the next point. There is a lot of election period overarching consensus. So not each government will change everything when the color of the government changes. I experienced that there is much less prejudice, much less reservation against energy sources or technologies. Even talking about biomass or talking about waste incineration, you immediately get heavy resistance in almost any audience. And the Danes are now talking of CCS, of carbon capture and storage. I think in Germany it has been forbidden in the same moment when the idea came up. Do not close down existing plants, convert them. So convert them to biomass, to CHP, etc. Consequently, pursue the socio-economic optimum. So to avoid misunderstandings, Denmark is not a socialistic state where everything is paid by taxes or by the state. All solutions have to prove that they are the socio-economic optimum for the society and for the individual consumer. And last but not least, provide protection to investors and consumers. I think I have explained what I mean. So in essence, it is not about technology. And in my, let's say, it's now about 8 years experience, with Denmark, with Danish Energy, with Danish systems, and with Danish society and people. It is about rationality, it's about sense of community, and it's about pragmatism. That is, in my mind, is the real key learning. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Eckhard, for your overview and for the very good conclusion. With the view on the time, I directly hand over to Thomas, who will give us a further overview. I think your microphone.
So yes,
now it
many
works.
thanks. So I directly share my screen. Please give me a feedback. Does it work?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to shortly talk about supply products. What are the main differences between Germany and Denmark? So what Eckhard already said now, just to give here some numbers about electricity consumption. As I stated here, almost 33 terawatt hours of electricity was consumed in 2021 in Denmark. Natural gas consumption is about 25 terawatt hour. Yeah, the main difference is that the per capita consumption of 5.6 megawatt hours is a bit higher than the average in Europe for electricity. So now, just 1 second, I have to. Yeah, and also someone in the chat asked about the ratio of the renewable energy. So maybe this can give a bit an overview. So it's almost 85% of renewable energies used in Denmark. So these are data from 2019. Yeah, so also what Denmark is producing per capita is almost 6 to 7 times higher than in the rest of Europe. Yeah. So general data on the energy market in Denmark. So from the trading part, what is the big difference? Historically, Denmark has 2 price zones. It's called DK1 and DK2. And also the electricity price area difference is EPAD. EPAD, which covers the difference in the prices between the 2 market price areas, can also be traded on the future market. So these 2 different pricing zones, as far as I know, are mainly due to the grid connection to Germany as well as to Norway. So, and also Germany is currently discussing to have 2 price zones in the future due to our renewable energies, which are heavily grown or which are heavily further grow in north of Germany and needs to be transported to South Germany. So what is also a big difference is that almost all household customers are equipped with a smart meter. As I already mentioned, this is not yet the case in Germany. I think we are far below 10% of a smart meter installed, and also online visualization with corresponding apps is very widespread and very well known in Denmark. So also many household customers already use pricing signals to influence their consumption behavior in especially in electricity. So this is already very common in Denmark. So what else is a big difference? What Eckhard also mentioned is in Germany we have 16 different states. So Denmark is very centralized, also with a metadata management. They have a centralized metadata management where also consumption data is organized via the TSO Energiewende, and all data are centrally spread to all the market participants. So this makes data exchange much more easier than in Germany, from my point of view. So what are the big differences in the supply products in Denmark? So at first, it's very similar to Germany. There are also basic supply tariffs or default tariffs for households and business customers in each network area in Denmark. So they do also have fixed term tariffs for periods 1 up to 3 years. Very well known are variable tariffs that can change on a monthly or maybe quarter-yearly basis. Smart meter tariffs that are oriented towards the spot market. So what is now decided in Germany to have flexible tariffs from 2025 onwards. This is already reality in Denmark, also for household clients. Also community tariffs for energy communities or citizen energy projects. So finally, it is very comparable to what you can find in the German market, but the big difference from my point of view is are the advanced supply products in Denmark. So many exotic products have been developed, and also very important, also exotic products are already available for household customers. As an example, without giving all everything what is possible or what is applied in the Danish market is a mix of fixed price supply and spot supply as an example. So 50% of your supply contract or of your consumption is based on a fixed price, and the remainder 50% is based on spot market prices, or contract models where supply occurs at either a fixed price or spot market price within a contract period. So it's very common that for instance, first and fourth quarter are at a fixed price, and quarter 2 and 3 remains at spot market prices, or also switching from fixed price to spot prices and vice versa when agreed price upper end or lower limit is reached. So there are many exotic products in the Danish market which are not yet available in Germany, especially not for larger household clients. So what I wanted to say, all these exotic supply products can already be mapped in Midas, so in our product, and I'm looking forward now to shortly introduce our company Midas Energy. So thanks for your attention, and I'm eager to know all your questions. Many thanks.
Thank you, Thomas, for this overview. I think we have now a good idea about the Danish energy market, and this is a perfect starting point to switch to the company pitches. So maybe we can ask or answer the questions after this.
Yeah.
And let's start with Centrica Energy Trading. Yeah, Christina, we are very happy to get to know more about Centrica's activities.
Yes, thank you very much, Isabel. I'm very happy to be here. Let me just try to start with see if I can share my screen. 1 second. Let me just check and get it in presentation mode as well. 1 second. Worked before. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So yes, first of all, just to introduce myself shortly, my name is Christina. I am Director of Origination and Contract Management in Centrica Energy Trading, and very happy to be here to give hopefully a short and quick pitch around our company and some of the products that we are working with. So basically, Centrica Energy Trading is the Danish subsidiary of Centrica PLC. That's a British energy company. It's actually one of the oldest in the UK, very known under the public eye as under the British Gas brand, but actually also manages quite a lot of other energy related activities across Europe and rest of the world. Of course, I'll try to focus on you can say the activities related to DK and also related to basically the part that I am sitting in Centrica Energy Trading. So if we just quickly jump to the big picture. So Centrica Energy Trading, we're basically, you could say, part of energy trading and optimization. That's the trading arm of Centrica. We're mainly based in Aalborg and Copenhagen, also with a significant presence in London due to our origin and ownership. And Centrica Energy Trading, we're basically an energy trading company, trading power and gas across the key European markets, basically helping and enabling, or being part of that, at least securing an optimal allocation of gas and power in the European systems. We're also, to a very large extent, managing third-party renewable assets, and I'll dig a little bit deeper into that here. It's just a little bit of statistics here on the side around where we also have our satellite offices, and a little bit about the size of Centrica Energy Trading, as well as assets under management and the markets that we are trading in, or number of markets that we're trading in. But I'll not dwell too much on that, conscious of time. I think we'll move to this page here. It shortly introduces, you can say, our activities within assets under management. We believe we have built what we call, you can say, a unique trading platform for renewable assets and flexible assets as well. That includes, you can say, a very large data management digitized setup, for here under also a large meteorological setup, including 24/7 desks, forecasting and balancing, monitoring, optimizing, and at the end of the day, trading our customers' power assets. And as you can see here, these assets are mainly renewable assets, so it could be wind or solar production, but it's also flexible assets, that we call it. Could be Danish CHP plants, as we heard about earlier. Could also be batteries, or hopefully also in the future power to X facilities, etc. Yes, and basically we are very dedicated to the green transition, and that's actually also where you can say the core part of where I'm sitting is focused on. Our focus within Centrica Energy Trading and our asset management activities were very much started in the DK, as the energy markets were becoming more liberalized and moved away from these very static feed-in tariffs, as we saw for CHPs and renewable assets in the early 2000s. And basically then a lot of other markets followed, and we basically followed that development as well. And that's what we can see with our footprint that has grown quite significantly in the past 15 years or so. We are very dedicated also to utilizing, you can say, the flexibility that there is within, for instance, also renewable assets. And it's really important that we can utilize that flexibility to make sure that we can also incorporate more renewables in the grids across Europe. We believe that's a very large part of enabling the green transition as well. If we move slightly to this slide here, which I think it gives a little bit of an overview of the focus for a typical Centrica energy trading customer or counterparty. So basically, we've grown capabilities within renewable and flexible asset management and trading and optimization over the past 15 years. And basically, it gives us a strong product, we believe, at least, to offer to the renewable and flexible producers, as well as you can say off-takers, corporates who are keen to make sure that they have a green off-take of power. So basically that is, you can say, our core customers. What is important for them is, of course, that there's a strong, you can say, there's a strong partner who can deliver a physical asset management of their power, making sure that their assets are managed, they are balanced, and they are traded in the markets, and that you can say there is a focus on also making sure that the flexibility is utilized to secure that we have also supports the grid in the times where the things are stretched, either because there's a shortage of power or there's an excess of power. Also making sure that we offer a long-term hedge, as we call it, or a long-term PPA for customers. Is when I say PPA, I mean a power purchase agreement. It's also quite critical, especially for renewable producers, when they are seeking financing for their building a solar farm or building a wind farm. Could be in Denmark, but it could also be in quite a few of the other European regions as well. There's, you could say, quite a lot of the same challenges you face when you're trying to build something in DK as if you're building in Sweden or Germany, etc. Last but not least, we also have a very strong focus on making sure that we optimize the value of our customers' green certificates. So when you produce renewable power, then you also get a green certificates. And we're keen to, of course, make sure that the value is captured best here for our customers. So that is very high level what we're doing. Of course, there's a lot of details in here that we haven't captured. We're also working with biomethane sourcing across Denmark and UK and expanding there as well. Denmark is quite advanced in that space, but I'll not get into those details here. I don't think there's sufficient time for that. But I think that was sort of the very high level short overview of what we are doing in Centrica Energy Trading. And I think last, I just wanted to thank Isabel for having me here. And again, if you have any questions or would like to understand more around what we're doing, feel free to reach out to me. I think I've shared some contact details in there as well. And we're happy to receive any questions or requests. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina, for this overview. Perfect. So I directly hand over to Mikkel Westenholz from N4.
Hello, I think somebody needs to give me access to sharing.
Yes, I think when Christina stops the screen
Super.
sharing, it will work.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, super. So thanks for the opportunity to present today. Just a quick company overview. My name is Mikkel Vestenholz, and I'm the CEO of Infor. The company was established in 2006 with a headquarters in Denmark, and then we have local offices in Hungary, India, and Iceland. We're delivering software system and services for mainly operational energy forecasting, price forecasting, and optimization of district heating and power systems. And our customers are mainly system operators, traders, and integrated utilities in more than 35 countries across 6 continents, which are making use of our services. And we are currently forecasting approximately 15% of the installed capacity of wind and PV in the world. For this presentation, I brought some of the new things we are currently working on, which is a tool for forecasting imbalance prices in the Nordics, which is a system we want to roll out for the new integrated imbalance system, which is coming in a year or two, called MI. But currently it's only running for the Nordic price areas. And the methodology we use is it's basically a system which continuously, right now it's with an hourly update, and soon we're gonna move to quarterly updates, where we forecast all demand, so electricity demand, all wind and PV production, and monitors all the interconnectors and the flow, and then basically try to minimize the system imbalance using, let's say, or replicating the physics in the system and the way the transmission system operators operate the systems and net imbalances between the areas. And this result is a price prediction for each price areas, but also with scenarios and uncertainties on the price for each area. And the way we have validated the methodology, if we look on the right side, is basically to try to assess all intraday trades. In this graph, it's over a 3-month period. And then we basically try to see which side of such a trade would the algorithm propose we would take. And then we basically accumulate the profit that we would be either long or short in the market based on taking a position against, you can say, realized trades, historical realized trades. Obviously, this is not a realistic way to operate the system, because we would, given the liquidity in the intraday market, we would influence the price by being so active in the market. But this is a pretty good way of evaluating if you consistently making the right decisions. And taking, you can say, this approach, it's possible to see that the algorithm pretty consistently generate a profit, doesn't jump a lot up and down, so it's kind of a pretty smooth accumulated profit, and it accumulates to 4 million euros over a 3-month period. So that's say the way we evaluate it. This is one of our newest products, which we are gonna provide to traders who can use it for financial trading in price areas where that's allowed. And it's also possible to combine this with our renewable energy forecasts in market where you're not allowed to speculate in the market, but where you can take a position with or trade your renewables in a way where you try to, say, reduce the risk of your positions, and then decide to bid in a quantile of your the forecast of your renewables instead of, for example, going with the P50, the most likely outcome. So we're building a number of different products around this, say, this price forecasting and imbalance price forecasting products, which will then be tailor-made for the different regulatory regimes in different price or different countries. So I think I already moved a little bit into, you can say, the use cases, mentioned the financial trading where that's allowed, and also you can say both for actually power demand and renewable power production trading strategies. Then it can be used for storage, so optimizing how you want to operate your storage, where the probabilistic approach can deliver a significant amount of value instead of just assuming the future's deterministic. And lastly, we also starting to combine this product with electric vehicle smart charging optimization, which is another new product we're working on at the moment. And to the right hand of the slide, this try to illustrate say our capabilities within power forecasting, where to the top right, you basically see what would be called a deterministic power forecast. So you try to predict, you know, say one value for each time slot into the future. But we also able to generate uncertainty, so generate quantiles, so uncertainty for different hours where there'll be more or less uncertainty on the forecast, which is something you can use for optimizing your trading strategies. And then lastly, we also have an engine for generating scenarios which are distributed statistically correct across the time dimension, which is especially useful for optimizing storage and other what you call state-dependent systems. So this was a brief introduction to our company and some of the new products we are currently working on.
Thank you very much, Mikkel. Perfect. So let's continue with Gas Storage Denmark. Welcome, Iljana.
Hello, I'm trying to share my screen with you.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Can you confirm that?
Yes, it works. It is not in full screen.
Okay, now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Well, my name is Iljana Nygaard, and I'm responsible for product development and the sale of the storage capacity of Gas Storage Denmark. And in the next slide, I will just use the abbreviation GSD, which means Gas Storage Denmark. I've been with Gas Storage Denmark GSD since 2015. And before that, I have experience from with power and gas from position in Vattenfall, Danish Energy, nowadays Ørsted, and E.ON Denmark. GSD is a fully owned company by Energiewende, which is the TSO for power and gas in Denmark, owned by the Danish state. Energiewende is a big organization comprising many subsidiaries. As a member of the group, GSD shares IT, back office, finance, and 24/7 control center with the other members in the group. Obviously, GSD is one of a kind large-scale energy storage company in Denmark, but still exposed to competition. Our storage customers are purchasing our services on voluntary basis, and they can find alternative sources of flexibility and leave GSD as a supplier if we don't deliver the right services for the right prices. GSD owns and operates two very different storage facilities. The storage facility at Lille Torp, located in West Denmark is a cavern type of storage. That is the one illustrated on the left side. The storage facility at Stenlille, located in East Denmark, is an aquifer type of storage. The combination caverns and aquifer gives a huge advantage when optimizing the operations. The caverns are good in delivering peak shave flexibility on the go-stop-go operations, but the aquifer is good in delivering baseload flexibility on the steady operational mode. Our storage customers nominate to storage, injection or withdrawal, as it was one storage, and GSG optimizes the operations between the two storage facilities behind the curtains. As many other energy players, GSD has an ambitious transition agenda with a major role to play in the Danish CO2 emission-free future. The transition from single commodity storage today to multi-commodity energy storage comprising biomethane, hydrogen, CO2, and compressed air storage has already started. In Lilletorp, we work for establishing of a hydrogen storage in dedicated caverns. The project runs under the public-private partnership Green Hydrogen Hub and aims to achieve large-scale, long-duration, renewable storage of hydrogen produced by electrolyzing using the wind power produced in West Denmark. And the Green Hydrogen Hub and the hydrogen caverns will be connected to the European hydrogen backbone. In Stenlille, in the eastern part of Denmark, we work on the establishment of a carbon capture storage. Somebody says that carbon capture is not like a project interesting or actually in Denmark, but that's not the case. We have a running project, and the underground formation in Stenlille is very huge and can be actually used for both storage of natural gas and permanent storage of CO2. So the both type of storages will coexist in the future. And my last slide. If you wish more specific information about the projects in Lilletorp and Stenlille, you are most welcome to visit GSD website, where you can find contact information to our engineering teams. You are also welcome to contact me. I will make sure that the relevant colleagues from our engineering teams receive and answer your questions. So, thank you.
Thank you as well, Iljana. So let's come to Thomas from Midas Energy. Tell us a bit more about your company and the activities. And I think the microphone is not yet turned on, Thomas.
So now I'm on, and do I have the correct one? Yeah. Yeah, so what is Midas Energy? We are, or Midas Energy was founded 1999. We are located in Aalborg, so we are a small-sized software development company. Yeah, all for business critical energy sales, where we give an overview on the entire life cycle of contracts, of products, and so on. To introduce myself, I'm exclusively working for Midas Energy for the German market. Currently, I'm the only person who is working for Midas Energy in Germany. Yes, so and what are we doing? So purpose of Midas so is a pricing and contract management tool, as I said, to have an overview on the entire contract of your gas and electricity contracts, either with B2B or B2C clients. And through the lifetime of all your contracts, you see you can always follow your cross margins, what you generate with all your contracts when you compare forecasted consumption with realized consumption, or individual client has some deviation in consumption in general, or consumption behavior. So what we are doing in Midas, is you can fully integrate all your products on gas and electricity, as I said, for B2B and B2C clients. The system is calculating all your contracts, all your prices, and as I said before, you can also build some exotic products in Midas, as explained. So we work with multiple price forward curves in the system. You fully generate all your offer and contract documents in Midas, and it makes it very simple for the sales staff to calculate and recalculate all your offers. Yeah. When I switch to this slide, this may be better. So to whom do we address our system? So to the sales management, yeah, mainly to reduce your risk, because all your contracted volumes are sent to a corresponding portfolio in time, that it can be hedged, whatever sales department is closing on the market. So is to limit your risk, which is involved. Also, it gives you a very good overview portfolio-wise. So for your portfolio management, you always know in time what your sales department has contracted. And also for the management, it gives you a real-time overview on all your contracts, on your products, and so on. So to go into depth is not the best place here when I have only 5 minutes. So I will finish it with workflows in Midas. So what you are doing before you do a sale. So you configure your price feeds, your portfolios, all your documents, also your charges and your products, and you also define all your groups and sales channels. You import in our system all your customer main data, all your metering point data, and all your consumption data, so that you can easily calculate all your offers in your sales process. So is the quotation management and the contract management, and also a follow-up, that you continuously have an overview and a controlling what is in your pipeline. And last but not least, also the data handling, so portfolio insights, billing handling, business insights. So that's maybe all for the moment, just to give you a short overview on our product. And I would be happy to further introduce our product when you are interested in. So please contact me. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Thomas.
So I stop it. So it is already stopped, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. So with a look on the time, which is a bit delayed, for sure we will also come to the company pitch of Utiligize, but I would just like to explain for those ones who will take part in the networking session how you can get there. So you go to the meeting at eWorld Community, to the networking session. Then you go to the navigation point networking. You click open session. And then you will find a networking schedule. In my case, it is empty because I didn't sign in for the event. And if you don't have any conversation partner, you can send individual meeting invitations. If you click or select a person from the right, for example, Kata Kutasi, you say you want to meet now in the next minutes, and you send the request, and then you will find your session here. If you have any questions with the networking session, if there are technical problems, you can come back to the session. I will stay there until 4:45. Okay, so let's come to Utiligize, Amai.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Utiligize, we are a software company that is around here to help grid operators, so transmission system operator, but especially distribution system operator, to face the green transition and to make their grid fit for a fully electrified society. We were founded 5 years ago, when we realized the way grid operators were doing their long-term strategic planning, so strategische Zielplanung in German, which was based often on spreadsheets, based on our observations, on rule of thumbs, or on incomplete data, which was leading to a lot of complications. So an imprecise planning of investments, expensive projects, for example, when you dig out a cable to replace it and 5 years later, because you didn't plan for the right growth, you need to replace it again. So all this is very costly for the grid operator and for society. And worst case is, of course, creating blackouts or outages for your clients. And to face that, so the future is to base the grid investments on data transparency, on reliable simulations that can represent how your grid is going to grow in the future. And this is where we are trying to help. So as mentioned, so we are right now in a partly electrified society. We have in Denmark, but all over Europe and the world, the growth of electric vehicles, heat pumps, different renewable generation, and the grid needs to be scaled to support that. And where do you scale it is exactly the issue. So we develop software as a service, and we have 3 different modules that I'm going to quickly present, and then go to a quick demonstration of our first module, which is forecast investments, where we do these long-term scenarios, so looking into several years, several decades, where do the growth happen in the grid. We look at where are investment required, where you can activate flexibility instead of this investment, and different measures, for example, N-1, talking about reliability. Our second module is maintenance and planning, which is a workforce and data collection tool for your technicians that are going out on the field. So this is to manage what they're working on, and it's also connected to all your company's database, ERP systems to collect directly the data. And the last one is reinvestment, which is a lifecycle management based on the CNAME open source model, where we look at the reliability of cables and transformers based on different factors such as corrosion, age, loading, and so on. But let me go to our product. So it's a web application. So you can see here the grid on Langeland, which is an island in the south of Denmark. So the points are transformer stations. The lines are underground cables. The different colors represent different voltage level. And if we go into our max load layer, so it's the loading each year based on the highest peak in the grid. So the lighter the color, the most loaded the assets are. And you can see here on the summary the number of distributed energy resources that we have identified in that area based on satellite image and smart meter data decomposition. And if I start the simulation, so right now we are in 2020, so we first run based on historical data, and then from 2024 on, we go into forecasted scenarios, and you can see that the colors in the grid go lighter and lighter, which means that the assets are more and more overloaded, so you can identify around a city area that you have a lot of investment requirements due to the overloading and the development. You can, maybe you looked at the numbers here, they have significantly increased since yes, the current status. If I go back in 2020, these are a lot lower. So basically, this is what we do in a nutshell. So we have a broader range of products, and if you'd like to know more about, I'm looking forward to chat with you maybe in the later networking session. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Perfect. So if you still have some time left, we can switch now to the Q&A part. I see that there are a lot of questions already in the chat. With a view to the time, maybe it will not be enough time to clarify all the questions to the company representatives, but I suggest that you directly contact them and ask your questions. You will find all the contact information in the agenda of this event or in the presentations. But regarding the presentation of Eckhard and Thomas, we have a question. It refers to slide 8 of Eckhard's presentation. Maybe you can open it again, Eckhard, so that we
Yes, I see the questions.
Yes.
The key factor is competition between heat production companies, but also non-profit principle. How does that work? Well, the most prominent example that is Copenhagen, where I think there are a hand or two hands full of local distribution companies, which of course are not under competition. That is clear, but they are separated. They are unbundled from the heat production companies. And the heat production companies, they are in a kind of competition regarding the, let's say, the green level of their product and regarding price, of course. So the non-profit principle, to be correct, applies to the distribution companies, that is for sure. Whether the non-profit principle applies to the production companies as well, I'm not quite sure now after this question. But I think it may apply as well, because the production companies are also not private companies, but they are municipal or public companies. And the distribution companies are often in the hand, as I mentioned before, of the consumers themselves. I hope it helps a little. It's probably not, it's only a 75% answer, but this is what I can tell you.
Thank you.
Maybe I can shed a bit light if there's interest.
Oh yes.
So there is actually it's kind of a we call it a heat exchange. I mean, like a power exchange called varmelast, which is one entity where all the heat producers bid the production, the marginal cost, and then they also can add, you can say, if they only want to be activated in block bids, a little bit like the power markets, and then basically there's an algorithm picking and activate the heat producers, and the heat producers, I mean, are for profit because they bid in the marginal cost, and then a little bit like the day ahead power market, if people are familiar with that. So it's I've replicated that a little bit, and then heat producers feed in the heat to the system.
Thank you.
Thank you. So there's another question for Eckhard. Could you please explain how the net metering scheme for renewables works in Denmark?
Yeah, I read the question before, and I have to admit that I do not fully understand what is meant by the question. Maybe somebody else can help me. What could be meant with the net metering scheme?
I can try to help.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you mean do you mean the net metering for PV for households?
Well, is the question to me or to the
to Ulrik, who asked the question, right? I don't know if Ulrik can elaborate.
So the question is from, sorry, I can.
Wasn't it from Ulrik? Or?
No, it is from Christian Häusle. So maybe you can.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Define a bit more your question, that it is more clear, Christian. Okay.
Otherwise, I can explain how it works for PV. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question, but then I answer a question. So the net metering works on an hourly basis in Denmark. So basically, if you produce within the same hour as you consume, then you can say the consumption, the production will be netted out, and you basically will only pay taxes and transportation tariffs on the amounts of electricity you consume above your own production, but it's on an hourly basis. It used to be on a yearly basis, but I think that was changed 10 years ago or something like that. So right now it's the net metering for PV is on an hourly basis.
Thank you. The next question is from Ulrich Janssen, and I'm not sure if we can answer it in a few sentences. How convert central, remote, convert linear power plants, and to what?
Yeah, converting power plants to other fuels is always a challenge, and it's not for free, of course. And in principle, it's possible with lignite power plants as well. When we think about converting from condenser mode to CHP, combined heat and power mode, of course, it needs heat clients in the vicinity. And Ulrich is completely right. If the distance is too far between the power plant and the big cities, we run into a problem. Which, for example, in the Rhinish lignite area, the distance to the mega cities in German terms, in a German scale, to Düsseldorf and Cologne is about 30 kilometers. We investigated that in the past, and the result was it was not feasible. But maybe today, under other conditions, with CO2 prices, with each and everything, I would recommend to investigate it again. But the problems or the challenges are correctly addressed by Ulrich, no doubt.
Thank you. A further question is, with the flexible price models, do the users have to check the spot market prices constantly, so every morning? Or how does it work?
I think this question was addressed to me. Yeah, it is. Yes, as I already said, so many of of them are using some web applications. So yes, and they are constantly informed about daily spot market prices. So it's maybe also divided into several price zones. Yeah, but yes, it is very normal in Denmark that everybody is using a smartphone with a corresponding application to be informed about the spot market prices. Yes.
Thank you. And I see a last question which is addressed to Mikkel, so maybe we can also talk about it. The question is minimized system imbalances limited to participating producers and users?
So basically, I think it's referring to the principle of where the in the future common European imbalance market, imbalances are gonna be netted between price areas before activation happens, and that is a mechanism we are replicating. The Nordics is already let's say operated that way, except for DK1, whereas there's another type of netting happening. So that's what the system is doing. So it's not so related to producers and users. It's more if there's a surplus or a deficit in a certain area, or expected a surplus or deficit in a certain area, then the transmission system operators net the imbalances before they start activating down or upward regulation. Obviously depending on the capacity on the interconnectors.